Lawmakers in Missouri are already planning right now for the next legislative session. Our Brian Calfano spoke with Democratic Representative Crystal Quade recently and learned her party is planning to focus on health care.
Education, healthcare, big news issues affecting the Ozarks. Cut through the clutter with Color 10 News analyst Brian Calfano. Now on Ozarks Tonight.
Well, good evening. Welcome to Ozarks Tonight. We're joined by Democratic Representative Crystal Quade, who has been kind enough to come in for a few minutes and talk about her party's priorities for the next legislative session in Jeff City. Crystal, obviously Democrats are in very small minority up there.
Yes, we are.
So you have your work cut out for you to get your priorities into legislation. What are the top 2 or 3 items you'd like to see moved in the next session?
I would definitely say healthcare, and that's an overarching thing, but we would like to see increased access and affordability, and also restoration to a lot of cuts that we've seen over the past few years, particularly for seniors or low-income seniors, our veterans, and people with disabilities. We got a few things across the finish line this year. A great bipartisan bill increased Medicaid access for substance-addicted new mothers for they are able to maintain Medicaid coverage much longer than they were before. But that's a small facet. We've seen cuts for the Missouri RX program, which is a prescription drug coverage for seniors. About 63,000 people in the state of Missouri lost coverage. We'd like to see that restored, among many other things, for our low-income folks.
What do you think are the possibilities of working with Republicans for some of these?
You know, some of them are good. Some, you know, we're not as optimistic on, particularly the restoration to the health care cuts for seniors, consumer-directed services, and in-home nursing care. You know, Governor Parson was pretty vocal when then Governor Greitens made those cuts. So I'm hopeful that that will be a legislative priority for the new administration, and that's something that we've seen support on from both sides of the aisle. When those cuts were made, folks were pretty upset about it. Obviously, we've had constituents call us about that. So that's one that I'm hopeful we can restore those cuts that were made the past 2 years. But more things like, you know, increased access is something that, you know, is going to be a harder one to grapple with.
What are the items you want to stop? So priorities for Republicans, things you don't want to have happen.
Well, one thing that we've recently heard that will be a priority next session is more tax cuts. So this year, Representative Elijah Haahr had a bill that made it through the finish line that increased some tax cuts for corporations. And as a member of the Budget Committee, that one was a little hard for me because we are going to take a hit again to our budget. And when we're looking at, as I mentioned, these cuts to seniors' health care and in-home services, taking money away from the budget is scary for a lot of folks. And so I've heard that might be another priority next year to further those tax cuts. And again, you know, until we restore the services we've lost, that's something that I really hope doesn't cross the finish line.
Representative Crystal Quade joining us tonight with her perspective on being a Democrat up there in Jefferson City. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And back to you.
Very good, Brian. Thanks. And